Good morning, everyone. Today I wanted to have a chat with you about life, especially life when you're just kind of going through it. Things are a little bit meh maybe, or maybe you're dealing with some feelings of sadness or hurt, or things are just not even like necessarily bad, but also not necessarily very good. I wrote some things down. I went old school today and I wrote my notes with pen, which made me realize two things. I never write with pen anymore, and actually just writing this much and this much gave me cramp in my hand. So also my handwriting is not legible by anyone but me. So I have some notes here today. I'm gonna take you along also because I want to talk to you about SMCH, or small but certain happiness, and specifically how that can help us during those times in our life where we're, just not really like grooving and vibing as much. First, let's start by making a lovely cup of matcha, which is one of my small but certain happiness moments. And we can begin. Also, look at my socks. This matcha is so creamy and it has such like umami. It's wonderful. Always when drinking matcha, it gives me such a sense of gratitude and appreciation for all the hard work that goes into making something like this, of this quality. And it is just amazing to me that I'm now drinking someone's passion and hard work that they put into it every year, and dedication. It's such a wonderful thing to get to experience. I'm so grateful always for this wonderful tea. So in thinking about life, I always like to think of it as different seasons, and life cannot always be like springtime where everything is blossoming and the trees are getting new leaves and everything feels hopeful and cheerful. Sometimes we're not in that season, and the seasons can change on a daily basis. Like mornings can feel very different than the afternoon or the evening, but they can also take a longer time, perhaps weeks or months, when we're just not really like thriving. It's like what they say about the fruit tree, a fruit tree doesn't give fruit the whole year round. Sometimes it does, but other times it's kind of just biding its time, tending its roots, and that can be us too, whether we are actually not doing too well or things are just really quiet. Like maybe you're even sitting with some feelings like sadness or grief, or you're just kind of nursing hurt that you've experienced. Maybe you're not as like creatively inspired. Maybe things are just kind of a little blah. I feel like that sometimes too, and that's when I always start to feel a little bit self-critical, getting that really like critical inner voice. Like even when my channel is doing very well in terms of the numbers and the comments that I get from all of you, sometimes I still feel like I should just kind of shut up because I feel like all that's coming out of my mouth is drivel, and it feels very like, I don't know, it doesn't always feel great, and that's when you know you're in one of those seasons, and I have them too. So I was reading a book the other day. It was from Hyman Sunim. I've talked about his books before because I really like his writing, and this book is called When Things Don't Go Your Way. And in that book he talked about how YOLO is out and SMCH is in. So if you're unfamiliar, YOLO stands for You Only Live Once, and SMCH stands for Small But Certain Happiness. And this was a term that was first mentioned by a Japanese novelist in one of his small short stories, I think, called Haruki Murakami. He talked about small but certain happiness. And you know, the kids these days are doing it. So people often tend to think about happiness as this thing that we can strive for or that we can reach sometime in the future, maybe after achieving a certain goal. They see happiness as this state that we can get to, or perhaps that we can sometimes feel and sometimes not. Whereas with small but certain happiness, happiness is kind of like the way to live. And it is about finding joy and contentment and happiness in the little everyday things. And that is why I love that so much, because we all have the mundane daily things. And if we can find joy and meaning and fulfillment and appreciation in those little moments, we can actually choose to live a happier life. And also during those times of life when we're just not really feeling it that much, these little joy, happy moments can bring us some kind of solace or comfort during those times. And of course, the small but certain happiness moments can be different for every person watching. So my hope is that you can also find some inspiration for yourself, something that works for you. So one of the many reasons why I love the Studio Ghibli movies so much, aside from the awesome kick-ass female characters, is that they always show the chores, the mundane daily stuff, and they show how someone can find kind of like contentment and appreciation or even joy in those little daily life chores, the things that we do every day, like hanging up clean laundry or preparing food for everyone. And the reason why I think that is so amazing is that it is these little mundane things that make up most of our daily life. Like, excitement is definitely important to have sometimes, but excitement is not really a sustainable form of happiness in the long run. So maybe taking a trip somewhere special, or moving to a new place, or maybe that moment when you're getting a new baby or getting a new pet. These are all very exciting, life-altering things, and they are wonderful by themselves, but moments like that don't take up most of our daily life. Our daily life is made up of the small mundane things, like maybe doing some chores around the house, outside of work of course. And the Studio Ghibli movies often show that part of life in a way that actually celebrates it and finds the magic in it. So I don't think I've ever seen this amount of laundry for just two people. Pretty crazy. Let's talk a bit about the difference between YOLO and SMCH. So YOLO stands for You Only Live Once, and it is this feeling of doing things that are maybe a little bit impulsive and exciting. It's like, you know, who cares? You only live once. I'm gonna do it. And I think we all need a little bit of YOLO in our life sometimes. So also, I mean, I know I fold weird. That's just... it works, okay? In the end, it comes together, I promise. So I think we all need a little bit of YOLO in our life, because especially if you're kind of like an overthinker like me, I tend to think through everything, and sometimes it can kind of paralyze you and not go for the things that maybe you kind of would like to do but find a little scary. But the thing with YOLO is that it can also encourage us to do some things that maybe are not the smartest, that don't necessarily yield positive results in the end. Like, for example, overspending. Overspending, treating yourself, indulging, that's a big like YOLO thing, but it can lead you to potentially like not reach your financial goals because you're spending too much. One of my famous YOLO moments that didn't go so well was when I was, I don't know, like mid-20s, I think. I had this dream that I had gotten both my nipples pierced. And in the dream, I was so happy with the piercings. I thought they looked great. And I woke up feeling like, oh, actually, I'm gonna YOLO it. I'm gonna do it. I had this dream. I thought it was awesome in the dream. So I'm gonna get my nipples pierced. And I did. Of course, you know, getting the piercings is pretty painful, but at that time I had already gotten quite a few piercings, so I knew what I was getting into. Like, I didn't treat it lightly or anything. I did everything that you're supposed to do with the healing and all the things. But fast forward to 1 year later, I was still in pain. They had still not fully healed, and I decided to take them out again. And I swear, the holes, like the piercing holes, closed up within like 15 minutes after I took them out. So it was very clear to me that my body just really did not want them. Of course, not all YOLO moments have to turn out like that. Like I said, I think we all need it a little bit sometimes in our life, but it doesn't really make for a sustainable form of happiness, in my opinion. It's like the little moments, the little crazy things, and they do make for fond memories, but in the end, it's not something that we can do every day. Small but certain happiness moments can be when you've baked a bread and you're like taking a chunk of the bread when it's still warm and it's all like delicious, or like a really nice cup of tea, sipping it on the balcony, listening to the birds. It can be that moment when the radio is on and suddenly they play one of your favorite songs. It can be so many things. The smell of coffee in the morning, like a small thing that's pretty easy for you to create and that just gives you a little sense of joy every time. Like the smell of a clean towel. I love that. Reading about that reminded me a couple days ago about a challenge that I once did with a friend of mine, where 100 days in a row, we took a picture, one picture a day, of something that brought us joy or contentment or gratitude. And in my case, let's face it, oftentimes it was food or like a nice beverage or something. It could also be like going for a nice walk and seeing a beautiful flower. Meeting up with friends or family, sharing some time together. And at the end of the challenge, you have a folder in your phone with 100 pictures of things that made you happy. And I think that's such a great thing because it also celebrates that small but certain happiness and that we can kind of foster and nourish in our life instead of always striving for goals or achieving the next thing and then we can be happy. We kind of celebrate that we already have everything we need to be happy and to really feel that sense of joy. So I've been kind of at a loss with regards to my wardrobe. Again, that happens sometimes with me. I'm not really like a natural fashion girly. I do have some outfits that I really am very excited about, so I just kind of wear those on repeat. Also, I have more than enough sweaters. Sweaters are my #1 thing that I love to buy when it comes to clothing, but I do have one addition to my wardrobe that I'm really excited about. It is this linen shirt. It's from a company called Not Perfect Linen, and this is not sponsored by them. So they didn't pay me or anything to say this, but they did send me this for free, which I so appreciate because I think this is, not joking, the nicest piece of clothing I've ever owned. Like the stitching, the details, the buttons, the seams, the shape, the fabric feels so nice, and it feels like this is a garment for life, you know? If I really take care of this, I think this can easily last me my entire life, and it feels so nice. It's my first piece of linen, if you can believe it. Everyone's always talking about linen, and I was always a little bit scared of it because I felt like maybe it's gonna crease a lot and I don't have an iron or like an ironing board. But yeah, it's actually super fine, and it's always nice if linen is not perfect. So, you know, if it's a little bit creased and stuff, like who cares? It still looks really good and it feels really good on my body. So I'm definitely open to shopping more linen. Also, I forgot to mention, they're like an ethical and sustainable company that makes like all linen stuff. And yeah, it's super high quality. I'm so happy with this. I'm so glad that they sent me that. Again, this is not sponsored or anything like that, but I will leave a link in the description box just in case you're curious about getting like good high quality linen that's made in an ethical and sustainable way. So yeah, a little shout out to Not Perfect Linen. This is another one of my happy places. This is our home office. This is where I do all my work, and that is, oh, excuse the tripod, that is the place where I usually read my books. This tea smells amazing. So while I'm getting settled for my lovely book, let me talk to you a bit more. The reason why I actually never make videos about goal setting and productivity and stuff is that it's not that I don't believe in like being productive or setting goals, but it is that I find it much more valuable to focus on systems and habits rather than goals to achieve or get to, and also a state of being rather than a state of always doing. So the thing with goals is like we have this goal and we feel like once we achieve it, then we'll be happy or satisfied or content. But that's not really, in my experience anyway, the way that it often works with people. I find that once we reach a certain goal, let's say is reach 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, then, you know, when we reach it, it's like a little party, a little celebration. But after like a couple days, we get a new goal. And maybe we want to reach 200 or a million or something, and the bar just always keeps rising. So we keep chasing a sense of fulfillment or happiness once we reach a certain goal, like once we have a certain house or once we have a certain job, or, you know, once we reach a certain stage of life. And once we reach it, it might be a little bit nice, like, or a lot nice, but it's temporary. We feel like we need to achieve the next thing. So you're always reaching, you're always striving. And it could even be the case that if, you know, you set a goal and you don't reach that goal, but you did spend a lot of effort, it could feel like it was wasted effort, you know, it was all in vain, and we feel very like unfulfilled. And I feel like that is a way of living where you're focusing very much on doing and output, and it can also facilitate feelings of guilt whenever we take it easy, whenever we don't necessarily have something that we are really striving for or working towards. We feel that taking it easy, being content with who we are and what we have and what we can do is being lazy or complacent, and we feel guilty for not doing more. That is the reason why I never make productivity related content, because I feel like there's enough of that stuff out there telling us that we are not good enough as we are, or that we need to be doing more. Rather, I always choose to focus on a life where I'm being instead of doing. And you can do things while you're being, but the way that you approach them is very different. So I'm still working very hard on the channel, but I never had a goal for reaching a certain number of subscribers or earning a certain amount of money. My goal was to put out 3 to 4 videos a month on YouTube and 2 videos a month on Patreon, and to do my best to try and make them as good as I can make them, as valuable as I can make them. And once you focus on the habits and enjoying the process, I feel like the results will come by themselves. So the book I'm reading is called The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi, and I'm having a lot of fun. I'm a little over halfway. It is a sapphic gothic novel, and it's really nice and like eerie and spooky, which I am down for. So I'm really enjoying it, and it's the kind of book that really transports you somewhere else, so you can really dig your teeth into, which is one of my favorite things to do if I feel uninspired, blah, meh. By the way, I have a new Kobo. So I talked about all the things that as a minimalist I have not decluttered and that are super old and that I keep using, and one of them was my e-reader. I think it was like 11 years old or something, but it broke a couple, I don't know, weeks or months maybe ago. It finally gave up and I had to buy a new e-reader. So this is the Kobo Clara. It is the most basic of their models, also the cheapest and the smallest one that they had, but I'm loving it. And it has this official cover that you can fold and then put on your table if you're reading at a table, and it stands up, so that's great too. I really love this, so I will link it in case anyone is curious. In the description box I'll leave a link in case you're also thinking about maybe getting an e-reader. This does have a backlight, but it also has a blue light filter, and you have the option of turning the backlight off completely, which is what I will always do if I'm reading at night, at nighttime for, you know, sleep and stuff. Just turn the backlight off, and yeah, really great. Very happy with it. One more thing that I always find to be very helpful during those blah moments of your life, still wearing my necklace, wait, is spending some time with your body, because I always find that that gets the juices flowing a little bit more. But I want to add doing something that's not necessarily focused on weight or strength or like goals when it comes to like fitness goals or anything, like working on your body, but rather having some time to work with your body. I think it is really good to have some kind of physical practice, whether it is stretching, breathing, meditating on the floor, doing something physical where you're getting out of your head, out of your thoughts and into your body, but from such a place of like self-love and acceptance and feeling like you're already good enough just the way you are. I feel like every time we do something with like sports or exercising, it's always like, yeah, we need to get really fit and strong, and you know, and all of that is good, of course, but I feel like there's an opportunity there to also find a lot of relaxation and a lot of self-compassion, and really like take some time to go inward and work on your relationship with your body in a positive way. And I find that that does sometimes kind of get me out of that slump a little. So today we're gonna do some yoga, because I just saw that my favorite yoga channel, Yoga with Adrian, has uploaded a healing yoga break video, which is perfect for days like this. So let's get started. It's actually funny that this one has the legs wide forward fold thing, because I just want to tell you, if you are really not flexible in your muscles, like me, I have never been flexible, I've never been able to reach my toes, I have tried, I have hamstring injuries, so I need to be super, super careful. If you're like me and you think, yeah, you can't do yoga because you're not flexible, please try anyway, because you can have a generous bend in your knees and still enjoy this pose and reap all the wonderful benefits and actually like build some flexibility. My progress has been super, super slow when it comes to being flexible, so here I am just being like on YouTube showing this. But yeah, take my advice, like you can do yoga even if you're not flexible. Any kind of yoga where I just get to lie down on a pillow, it's great. I loved it. It's lunchtime and I'm hungry. I'm Dutch, so lunch means bread. 2 slices of bread. A very simple sandwich style. For today, I have a really nice hummus. It has red lentil, carrot, and cumin, and it's hummus. Really nice. I think I have some, oh actually, I can make it fancy because I also have tomatoes and I have lettuce. Wait. I have these. I already have cut these into slices yesterday. And I had leftover, so. Cheers. So during those times in our life, or perhaps just like a low part of your day, try to focus on it being okay that your fruit tree doesn't bear fruit all year round. That it is okay to just kind of have some moments where you're biding your time, tending to your roots, just taking care, doing what feels good, getting through it as best you can. Because there will be a time when you will start to bear fruit again and spring will come again. So I think that is important to keep in mind. All right, so I'm gonna enjoy my sandwich now. And before I do, I wanna quickly remind you about the sale that I'm holding. So because Simple Happy Zen turned 7 years old this month, I've decided to do a big sale on my decluttering ebook and both of my online courses. So everything is 20% off. You can find the links in the description box. For those of you who don't know, I've written a decluttering ebook that has all my tips about decluttering and creating a space that you love. It is a 90-page PDF ebook, and I love sharing that ebook with you because it continues to get so many great reviews from people, and it always warms my heart when people, say that it really helped them and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're looking to make some progress with decluttering, check it out. The other two are online courses. One is a 30-day program called Unhurried, and that has to do with slow living. So every day you get an email from me with a daily lesson and an inspiring challenge that can help you to experience the benefits of slow living directly into your everyday life. So the challenges are always short and sweet. Usually they can be done in 15 minutes or less, but they are just different ways of making you aware how you can slow down even when life gets busy and really just find some moments of peace and quiet and approach your days from another place, a different place of joy and contentment. So I really love that program. It has gotten a lot of great reviews as well, so I will leave that link in the description box too. And then last but not least, I have a full 20-week program to simplify all the big aspects of your life, and this program is called In Love With Your Life. And every week you get access to a new lesson that is about a different aspect of life and how you can simplify it. So you're going to look at commitments, to-dos, schedules, but also managing your energy, saying no to things that don't bring you value or that don't align with your goals. You're going to write a mission statement and personal policies and just basically everything that I'm so excited about, how you can simplify your life and live a life of meaning and joy and fill it with things you love, is in that course. So I will leave that link in the description box too. The sale will last for the rest of August, so it will expire on September 1st. So if you haven't taken advantage of the 20% off yet, then you can do that for the rest of August. Just use my discount code 7years at checkout and you will get 20%, and you can use this code on multiple products as well if you want more savings. If you have any questions about it, you know where to find me. Please leave them in the comments and I'll answer them there. For now, I wish you a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for spending the morning with me. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's a little bit different than usual. Usually I make videos with this kind of vibe over on Patreon, but today I really felt like doing it for YouTube. So I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments, questions, ideas in the comments, please. I would love to continue the discussion there. So as always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Have a wonderful day and I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye. I think after this I'm gonna do some editing and then I'm going to go for a nice long walk, which is definitely also a moment of small but certain happiness, especially when the weather is like today where it's not so hot. I really look forward to it.